We are joined by former India cricketer Deep Dasgupta, who has been at the commentary box throughout the Cricket World Cup. In fact, was also last night at Ahmedabad. Thank you for speaking to us, Deep. First of all, how gutted will the Indian team be after such a loss?
I guess distraught, distressed. I mean, listen, this had to be the biggest day in their careers. I mean, by far. I know Virat's won World Cup before, so has Ashwin. I'm sure apart from those two gentlemen, I think this would had to be the biggest day. Even for someone like Rahul Dravid, this could have been the biggest day of his career, right? So you can very well imagine the extent of the heartbreak. I mean, we can if you want to individualize it and you pick your biggest day, uh, and that falls apart, and you can kind of then maybe try and relate to what they must have gone through after last night. So I think it'll be very, very difficult to kind of explain otherwise.
But how difficult is it going to be for them to move past something like this?
It's a long tournament. It was 6 weeks, six more than 6 weeks, right? And you had to maintain that level of intensity, the environment and everything else. It's not about, a 3 week, 4 week tournament. You're talking about, and something that I think Rohit mentioned, that they've been preparing for this for over a year now, you know, in terms of picking up the right individuals, role definition and everything, so on and so forth. So I don't know, and I think it's going to be a very individual thing, and how they handle, because again, all of them are in different, different situation in their careers. I mean, someone like Rohit, this could well be his last World Cup. Maybe Virat last World Cup, Mohammad Shami last World Cup. So they would take it differently as compared to someone, let's say, a Shubman Gill, who would go on and play a few more World Cups. So I think they would all kind of process it very, very differently, and I think uh, that's where I think the support system got to kick in. Your family, your friends, because like I said, this is not going to be easy.
Yeah, it will be pretty lonely right now, but just a word on Australia, Deep. The most successful side when it comes to World Cups, a word on just their system and how they're so mentally strong.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, a big congratulations to Australia, because obviously after losing those two games, the first two games, and there were doubts. I mean, let's be very honest. A lot of us doubted Australia, and were they ready for this? Are they up for it?
Yeah.
But God, I mean, like you said, big games, and they just find that extra gear. They just manage to do it. And I think a lot of it kind of turned with I got to give a lot of credit to Pat Cummins, actually. I mean, the first two games, I thought the leadership or the captaincy was very average, but then the way he led the side yesterday was so good. I mean, for an Australian team to win a toss, a World Cup final toss, and to field is kind of unheard of. So that's got to be a very, very brave move, right? I mean, obviously, with not just him, it's the support staff also, I'm sure, would be involved in it. But apart from that, I mean, just from ball one, the discipline and everything else, and he himself, that spell of his was phenomenal. That 6 over spell during those middle overs. And yeah, and it boils down to, I guess, pedigree. It boils down to, just the knowledge of, or the history, or the heritage that they carry forward, of winning big games, of dominating big games and stuff like that. And I think, again, it was quite evident yesterday. It just seemed like a different team from what we've seen Australia in the, like, most of the tournament, to be honest.
Just to sort of reflect a bit on that final, Deep, if we look at India, Rohit said after the match that he would have batted as well had he won the toss, but the pitch definitely started playing better, unlike Kolkata. Did they misread it, and did they sort of lose it all somewhere in that first innings with the bat?
I guess obviously losing those back-to-back wickets, Rohit falling in the 10th over, 11th over, Shreyas falling, and back of your mind, you're in with only seven batters, right? You don't have enough batting depth. So you kind of also thinking back of your mind as a batter, especially in the middle order, someone like KL, Rahul, Virat, and you're thinking, you've got to, get in a partnership going, even if it means time. We can, pick it up. We've got Surya last 10, 15 overs, and then the wicket of Virat. Just when you were thinking, time to change gears, and KL was starting to play a few more shots, and then against the run-off play, Virat's wicket, his wicket falls. And you kind of playing catch up. I think post the third wicket, post Shreyas's wicket, I think you could feel that India was trying to play catch up, trying to kind of, stabilize and then move on. But then the moment you thought that, okay, it seems like stable now and now we can move on, Virat's wicket, his wicket falls. So I think we were kind of never got that momentum going. So in the end, you ended up making what, good 30, 40 runs less than what you should have. And batting first, listen, it was, so when I looked at the pitch yesterday and I was like, geez, this is a good toss to lose, because your cricketing mind, purely cricket, forget the magnanimity of the match and everything else, just going by the pitch, you knew it would get better. Even if there is no dew, under lights, temperature falling, the pitch will play better. So purely cricketing answer would be chase. And you have someone like Virat, and you are a good chasing side, right? But then you put in, and this is, a big question mark, and then you put in the whole World Cup final scenario, and you're like, oh, such a big game. Do you really want to chase? And hence I was like, geez, this is a difficult call. And that's the reason I think that's a really, really brave call, Pat Cummins choosing to chase.
Right, and he followed that up by just the way they were in that first innings, the way they fielded particularly, put that pressure on, and all of that, did it in some sense sort of add to the weight and sort of weigh India down in the second innings? Because even 43 for 3, you would fancy your chances, but somewhere they let the pressure off.
So I think they would have easily saved around 30, 35 runs, and I'm being conservative here, right? And this is not just the finals, the semi-finals, the South Africa game as well. They were absolutely superb. And the finals, easy 30, 35 runs. And India could have been, they could have been chasing down 270, 275, the way India batted. Forget everything else. Forget momentum, forget changing gears and all that. Just plain simple fielding save them 30, 35. And I guess those are the things which make Australia different, those 1%ers. Come the crunch time, they kind of pull things in and do those 1%ers better than most of the other teams.
Yeah, we have to speak about someone like Travis Head too, Deep. What an amazing innings to play, the way that he did in the final 100. Just a word on how he turned out to be key contributor, especially having missed out almost half of the tournament owing to an injury, and he comes back and he does what he did.
100 on his first game of the World Cup. He comes from home. He wasn't even part of the team. He was at home recovering and whatever rehab and stuff. He comes first game, he gets 100, and then you suddenly sit up and realize, that's how important Travis Head is to this team, because he missed good 4-5 games, and you're thinking, if he's not going to play half the tournament, I'm sure there's someone else who can take his place, right? Do you really want him in the squad? But then you realize why and how important Travis Head is to this side. And it was a very different Travis Head innings. Obviously we know that he wants to go hard from ball one, which he did. And then suddenly those 2-3 wickets fell, and he played a very different kind of a knock. He was a lot more conservative. He was a lot more watchful. And then again, when he saw that was in a comfortable position, that partnership with Labuschagne, and then again, he started playing his shots, and especially against the quick bowlers. As soon as the faster bowlers came in, he started playing a shot. Well, he's done this twice to India now, the World Test Championship finals and now the 50-over finals. So, yeah, we've got to watch out for Travis Head next time we come across him.
Yes, but, hindsight is a very strange thing, Deep. It always makes us wonder what if. Is there anything different India could have done in that second innings? They would have fancied their chances till quite a point.
We are splitting hairs now. I don't think really could have done anything differently. Maybe, batting first, could have played a little quicker, maybe played a few more shots. But again, we're talking about splitting hairs. Second innings, The only thing I was on air while this was happening with the partnership, we could have attacked Labuschagne a little more. You don't want to do attack Travis Head too much. He was a set bat, and he can take the game away from you very, very quickly. So you are a little, watchful and mindful of how Travis Head can bat. But on the other side, Labuschagne's going to only take singles. He's not going to, come in and start hitting those shots straight up. So maybe initially an extra fielder, a slip in place. So the first boundary that he hit was off the outside edge of Kuldeep, right?
Yes.
And there was no slip in place. So things like that, again, we have the benefit of the hindsight, but yeah, maybe if we are actually splitting hairs, maybe that's one thing that maybe could have done differently.
Yeah, that lack of an extra batter really was felt a little more. But speaking of this loss, if I just ask you to think as a cricketer yourself, an Indian cricketer, Deep, and not as a commentator or someone who's observing this objectively, why does this one hurt just a little more? Why does this hurt the most?
See, 2015-19 didn't feel bad. 2003 felt bad because I was still part of the system then and part of this extended squad or whatever. And it did feel bad. And it felt bad for a different reason because we weren't in the game. You know what I'm saying? In 2003, from over one, we weren't just there. It was like, whatever. But this game, it hurts because one is how these guys played, and India played a very different brand of cricket. And they took this conscious decision to play differently, starting with Rohit. The bowlers were phenomenal. I mean, you can just, maybe 2007 Australia dominated, 2003 Australia dominated. I can't see, and I don't remember 75, 79. I wasn't even born 75, 79, I don't remember. I don't see any other team had dominated the tournament as much as India had
Right.
in this one. From game one till the finals, I think you couldn't have asked for a better tournament that. You couldn't have asked for better performances from your batters, the mindset, the approach, the bowlers, maybe this faster bowler or the spinners. You just checked all the boxes you can even think of. So, and that's the reason it just feels a bigger loss than it actually is.
Well, we have to speak about the coach Rahul Dravid. Somehow he finds himself in these very, very heartbreaking moments on World Cup stage. It's a little disheartening to see him on that side as well. It's way too many times that picture is evident. But what next for someone like him, Deep?
Oh God. He was obviously there 2003 and now 223. So yeah, and you've got to give a lot of credit to Rahul, even though he's one of those guys who always stays in the background and doesn't come forward that much. But being covering the World Cup and traveling and being at the ground for the India games and stuff like that, you could see the kind of effort that the whole support staff put in as well. And Rahul and Dilip and Paras and everyone. The physios, the massage therapist, everyone. And for someone like Rahul, it's going to be heartbreaking. I don't know whether he's questioning his destiny, whether it's meant to be. You know what I'm saying? As a player in 2003 and now as a coach, coming so close. So yeah, it's I don't know. I maybe he's going to take a break. I think he's going to take a break, and maybe reassess, and maybe he still has another. Maybe he'll have another go as a coach, winning the World Cup.
Yes, we'll wait and see how that pans out for Rahul Dravid and the entire team. It's something that you'll want to move ahead and work towards the future. Look towards the future. There's another World Cup, albeit in another format, coming next year. But that's all there is now. Thank you so much for joining us for this one, Deep Dasgupta.
Thanks. Bye-bye.